Prashasya pravishad graham. Sri Sukha Uvacha, Sri Sukadev Goswami said, Swasu, of his sister Devaki, Vadat, from the act of killing, Nivavrite, stopped for the time being. Kamsa, Tadvakya, the words of Vasudev, Sadavit, knowing to be perfectly correct. Vasudev, Api, also, Tam, to him, Kamsa, Prita, being satisfied, Prashasya, pacified more. Pravishat Griham, entered his own house. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada. Srila Sukadev Goswami continued, Kamsa agreed to the logical arguments of Vasudev, and having full faith in Vasudev's words, he refrained from killing his sister. Vasudev, being pleased with Kamsa, pacified him further and entered his own house. Purport. Although Kamsa was a sinful demon, he believed that Vasudev would never deviate from his word. The character of a pure devotee like Vasudev is such that even so great a demon as Kamsa firmly believed in his words and was satisfied. Yasasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana sarver gunastatra samasate sura. All good attributes are present in a devotee, so much so that even Kamsa believed in Vasudev's words without a doubt. Om Gyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shlakaya Chakshuromalitamina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Mena Bhutle Swamarupa Kadamyam Dadati Swaparantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shiyuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamshcha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raguna Tanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakamistamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpaturubhyashta Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So good morning, everyone. Thank you all for joining the Srimad Bhagavatam class today. So we're reading from, as I said, 10th canto, 1st chapter, 55th verse. I ask for the blessings of all the Vaishnavas here, that I may be able to say something beneficial to everyone, especially to myself. So to set the scene of what's going on right now is that Kamsa is driving the chariot of his sister, Devaki, who just got married. Devaki and Vasudev. Vasudev being the father, you'll see later in the story, in the Leela, that Krishna was born from them. And Krishna's name is Vasudev, with the long A, Vasudev. But this is Vasudev. Vasudev is the husband of Devaki. They had just got married. And as is the custom, the brother-in-law of the groom, who was Kamsa, is driving the chariot of the bride and groom who just got married and going to their house and taking them there. And while he's going, a ominous voice in the sky, as we have seen in different dramas of this depiction, Kamsa, with the echo. You are such a fool. You do not know that you are driving the chariot of your sister, whose 8th son will kill you. So that's how the story goes. And Kamsa immediately becomes very angry. He grabs his sister by the hair, pulls out his sword, and is about to kill her. Believe it or not, this was the mood, or this was how kind of demoniac Kamsa was. And so what happens then is Vasudeva, being a wonderful devotee, a pure devotee, and a very intelligent person, he tries to talk Kamsa out of it. That he gives him different philosophical reasons, and he gives him his word that in the end he gives him his word that whichever children are born of him, he will give them up to Kamsa. And Kamsa is immediately pacified by this. He actually is very surprised by this, but he believes Vasudeva because he has faith in Vasudeva as a person and as a person who will keep his word. And so the kind of the topic that I want to focus on today is the qualities of a devotee. So this verse, Yasasti Bhaktir Bhagavati Akinchana Sarver Gunas Tatra Samasate Sura Harava Bhaktasya Kuto Mahadgunan Manorate Nasati Dhavato Bahi. So the Srila Prabhupada translates it in that purport in a shortened version, but the full version is all the demigods and their exalted qualities such as religion, knowledge, and renunciation become manifest in the body of one who has developed unalloyed devotion for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. On the other hand, a person devoid of devotional service and engaged in material activities has no good qualities. Even if he is adept at the practice of mystic yoga or the honest endeavor of maintaining his family and relatives, he must be driven by his own mental speculations and must engage in the service of the Lord's external energy. How can there be any good qualities in such a man? This is a very heavy verse. Srila Prabhupada actually quotes this. He might have quoted it 20, 30 times in talks, and about 15 to 20 times in the books, in his purports. So quite an important verse. And so going through all those different verses where this was quoted, it's actually translated slightly differently in the different times where Srila Prabhupada has quoted it. So I kind of put those all together, and I got different points of the qualities of the devotee, of the pure devotee. What are the characteristics according to this verse? So I wrote them down here, and I'll just list them out, and then I'll go to the verses that they're described. So they know they are not the body. They are not the enjoyers. They see everyone as part and parcel of Krishna, all living entities. They are not hovering on the mental platform. So basically, they don't act on the mental platform. They're acting on a higher platform, the Brahmabhuta platform, as there's that verse, Brahmabhuta Prasanatma, which I'll read later. They are not attracted to the glaring material energy. They do not think that they are the same as Krishna, because there's that philosophical idea that once we give up these bodies, then we will be the same as Krishna. It's just the body that's limiting us. But then when we are free from the body, Krishna and us are the same. And so that's not true. And these devotees, they do not think that they're the same as Krishna. And they are Paramahamsas. That's described here, the devotee that has all the great qualities of the demigods. This is describing a Paramahamsa. And Srila Prabhupada actually says that this is the qualities of a Paramahamsa. And he's the best leader. He offers all activities to Krishna. So later on also I'll describe where this is talked about in relation to Prithu Maharaj or Ambarish Maharaj. These are Raja Rishis. These are sadhu kings, basically saintly kings. And to describe them, this verse has also been quoted. So the different devotees that this verse is also described, is a description of, are people, devotees like such as Arjuna, Prithu Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Bali Maharaj, Ambarish Maharaj. So these are the Mahajans that we follow, and this verse has described them. So let's start off with the Bhagavad Gita. So chapter 1 of the Bhagavad Gita, in the 28th text, Srila Prabhupada actually quotes this verse in context of Arjuna saying, I do not want to fight all my relatives, and there's going to be so much suffering. There's going to be so much killing. So Krishna, I do not want to fight. And so in relation to that, Srila Prabhupada says, such symptoms of Arjuna were not due to weakness, but to his soft-heartedness, a characteristic of a pure devotee. It is therefore said, Yasasti Bhaktir Bhagavati Krishna, one who has unflinching devotion for the personality of God has all the good qualities of the demigods. For one who is not a devotee of the Lord, has only material qualifications that are of little value. This is because he is hovering on the mental plane and is certainly to be attracted by the glaring material energy. Also, something I wanted to mention here is that sometimes this verse is used as a weapon, or is used in a way to put down people who are not devotees. That, okay, you may have so many material qualities, but actually you have no good qualities because you're not a devotee. This is not the usage of this verse. The usage of this verse is that to glorify those who glorify the pure devotees as having all the great qualities, and great qualities can be developed as one becomes more Krishna conscious. So I just want to make that clear, that this is not used in a way to put down people who are not devotees, although it may seem that this verse does. But I want to also say that one of the qualities that is described of a devotee is their soft-heartedness, of their kindness, of their patience, of their compassion. So just want to say that this verse is used in to describe the pure devotee who is compassionate. So then moving on, the 18th chapter, the 54th verse, this describes the Brahma-bhuta stage. Brahma-bhuta prasanatmana sochati nakangshti samasarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labate paran. One who thus transcendently situated at once realizes the supreme Brahman. He never laments nor desires to have anything. He's equally disposed to all living entities. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. So this verse, Yasasti Bhagavati Bhagavati Kinshana, is describing this devotee who is on the Brahma-bhuta stage. He never laments nor desires to have anything, while the person who is only has material qualities and is not Krishna conscious, who does not know that he is not this body, he is not meant to gratify his senses, him and Krishna are not the same. They do not have these qualities of never lamenting nor desiring to have anything, nor desires to have anything. They have all desires, and they have all desires for enjoyment, and they lament when they lose something, or they rejoice when they gain something. So this kind of equilibrium is not in that person. Moving on, is the 42nd verse of the 18th chapter. It describes the qualities of a brahmana. So, okay, we described Yasasti Bhaktir Bhagavati Kinshana, all the qualities of the demigods and devotee. What are those qualities? Peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, wisdom, knowledge, and religiousness. These are the qualities by which the brahmanas work. And then in the 9th chapter of the 12th text of the Bhagavad Gita in the purport. Sorry, let's read the translation first. Those who are thus bewildered are attracted by demoniac and atheistic views. In that deluded condition, their hopes for liberation, their fruitive activities, and their culture of knowledge are all defeated. So this has to do with those who are atheistic in nature or demoniac in nature. They do not have the good qualities of the Paramahamsas that's described in that first Yasasti Bhaktir verse. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, as described in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, such demoniac miscreants never surrender to Krishna. Therefore, their mental speculations to arrive at the absolute truth bring them to the false conclusion that the ordinary living entity and Krishna are one and the same. This is what I was describing earlier. So with such a false conviction, they think that the body of any human being is now simply covered by material nature, and that as soon as one is liberated from this material body, there's no difference between God and himself. This attempt to become one with Krishna will be baffled because of delusion. Such atheistic and demoniac cultivation of spiritual knowledge is always futile. That is the indication of this verse. For such persons, cultivation of the knowledge in Vedic literature, like the Vedanta Sutra and Upanishads, is always baffled. So this is describing the person that think themselves no difference between God and himself as soon as this body is given up. So this kind of conception to become one with God. This is an atheistic and demoniac conception. And so but a person who considers them that they're not this body, that they're servant of Krishna, that they are that Krishna is the difference in quantity and not quality, then this is the viewpoint of the pure devotee. So then in the 10th canto, just jumping around here, then the 10th canto, the 4th chapter, in the 30th verse, this is also describing the asuras and suras, asuras being the demons and the suras being the demigods. This is the translation. After hearing their master's statement, the envious asuras, who were enemies of the demigods and were not very expert in their dealings, advised Kamsa as follows. So this is describing that the devotee is expert. Just like we see in kind of a more modern example, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada was actually expert in so many ways. And materially, you can say very expert as well. Spiritually, goes without saying. Materially, even someone did a study or some kind of analysis of Srila Prabhupada came to America with it was like 10 rupees or something, and it wasn't even able to convert them. And then in 12 years, he created it was like the monetary or financial analysis of what he had created. It was like millions of dollars of real estate, as well as millions of dollars of book sales and things like that. So of course, we don't see it we're not supposed to see it in a material way, but even in a material way, if you look at it, the devotee is very expert in all different ways. So in this purport, it says, those who are devotees of Lord Vishnu, Krishna, are suras or devas, whereas those who are opposed to the devotees are called asuras. Devotees are expert in all transactions. Yasasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana. Therefore, they are called kovida, which means expert. Asuras, however, although superficially showing expertise in passionate activities, are actually all fools. They are neither sober nor expert. Whatever they do is imperfect. Mogasha, moga karmana. According to this description of the asuras given Bhagavad Gita 9:12, whatever they do will ultimately be baffled. It was such persons who advised Kamsa because they were his chief friends and ministers. So why does it say that they will be baffled? Because their whole thinking is that not that I want to please Krishna, or I want to liberate myself, or I want to uplift myself. It's a very selfish motive of whatever is done. It's on this platform of, like out the gate, everything is the whole thinking is wrong. That's why it says they will always be baffled in all their endeavors. No matter if they're expert in some ways, it will all be baffled because their view, their aim is not correct. So this verse, Mogasha Moga Karmana, the 9:12, the one I quoted before this, Rakshashim Asurim Chaiva Prakritim Mohinim Shrita. This is the describing those who have a demoniac or atheistic viewpoint. So then moving on to the 4th canto, the 21st chapter, 43rd verse, this is describing the instructions of Prithu Maharaj. So it says here in the purport, it is said that one who has unflinching faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which means unflinching faith in the Vaishnavas, or the pure devotees of the Supreme Lord, develops all the good qualities of the demigods. Unless one takes the dust of the lotus feet of the pure Vaishnava on one's head, one cannot understand what the Supreme Personality of Godhead is, and unless one knows the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one's life remains imperfect. A great soul who has fully surrendered to the Supreme Lord, after understanding him fully and after repeatedly undergoing austerities and penances for many, many lives, is very rare. A crown of a king is simply a big load if the king or the head of state does not actually bear the dust of the lotus feet of the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. In other words, if a liberal king like Prithu Maharaj does not follow the instructions of Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, or does not follow Brahminical culture, he is simply a burden on the state, for he cannot benefit the citizens. Maharaj Prithu is the perfect example of an ideal chief executive. So this is describing the leader, or the leader of the people. They have to be devotee, and secondly, they have to follow the advice of the Brahmanas, just like we see Ambarish Maharaj or Prithu Maharaj or Bali Maharaj. The way they're described as leaders is that they understand who God is. They're servant of the God and they're servant of the people. Servant of the people in what way? They have to lead the people towards upliftment of okay, that the society that we live in is not for our enjoyment. We're not going to try to be selfish and try to just take things and try to further ourselves materially, but actually furthering ourselves spiritually is how the leaders should be instructing their constituents. So that is the example of a perfect ideal chief executive like Prithu Maharaj. So then moving a little quicker because I don't have much time here. Okay. This is also in the 4th canto, 29th chapter, 66th verse. In the purport, unless one becomes a devotee of the Lord or becomes fully Krishna conscious, he will certainly hover on the mental platform and be promoted and degraded in different types of bodies. All qualities are considered good according to the material estimation. All qualities that are considered good according to material estimation actually have no value because these so-called good qualities will not save a person from the cycle of birth and death. Another huge point. You may have all the great qualities. One may have so many great qualities, but these qualities are not going to save one from the repeated cycle of birth and death, because those qualities that you may develop, they'll go away. They stay with the body. They'll leave with the body. But the qualities of Krishna consciousness, of bhakti, they stay with you. And so that is why you might see someone who may not be fully materially developed, but if they are a devotee, that's better than someone who's spiritually so super developed, whether it's in an intelligence, their scholarship, or whatever it is. But if they're not a devotee, then those qualities, they don't mean anything because they won't stay with them. So the conclusion is that one should be without material desire. Anya bilashita shunyam jnana karmadi anavritam. That's a famous verse. One should be fully free from material desires, philosophical speculation, and fruitive activity. The best course for a human being is to favorably accept the transcendental devotional service of the Lord. That is the highest perfection of human life. So this is illustrating why we should take up devotional service very seriously, because this is the most meaningful thing that one can do. Of course, one can take up different other material qualifications for furthering one's whether according to where they are in their life. Of course, that's very important also. But the most important thing is to further Krishna consciousness, because that is the whole reason the whole reason we are talking about Krishna or Krishna consciousness or practicing bhakti, practicing sadhana, is for this reason. Moving on to the 6th canto, this is in the history of the life of Ajamil. This is describing those who say that bhakti is for the less intelligent or for the illiterates. Like this is, people say, okay, bhakti is really nice, but it seems like it's a very sentimental thing. Oh, I love Krishna and I want to chant the holy name, just like those who, Lord Chaitanya was seen sometimes that he was crying and just, his main thing was chanting and dancing. So this kind of seemed like a sentimental thing, but actually, no, this is the highest practice. So I'll read a bit from this purport also. The less intelligent, however, misunderstand the bhakti path, and therefore allege that it is for one who cannot execute ritualistic ceremonies or speculate, as confirmed here by the word sadrichina. Bhakti is the path that is appropriate, not the path of karmakanda or jnanakanda. Mayavadis may be Shushila Sadhava, well-behaved saintly persons, but there is nevertheless some doubt about whether they are actually making progress, for they have not accepted the path of bhakti. On the other hand, those who follow the path of the acharyas are Shushila and Sadhava, and therefore their path is akutobhaya, which means free from fear. One should fearlessly follow the 12 Mahajans and their line of disciplic succession, and thus be liberated from the clutches of Maya. So I have a bunch more verses to quote, but anyway, I'm just hitting the same point. So the main point here is that those pure devotees who have bhakti, they have all the greatest quality of the demigods, and all the great qualities are appearing in them. And those who might have seemingly lots of material qualities, they actually they do not have any good qualities, actually, because they do not have bhakti. They do not have devotion to God. And I listed those reasons, that those who are the Paramahamsas, they think they're not the body, they think they're not the enjoyer, they see everyone as parts of Krishna, they're not hovering on the mental platform, they're not attracted by the glaring material energy, they do not think that they're the same as Krishna as Mayavadis, and they're the best leaders, just as it's described as Prithu Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Bali Maharaj, Ambrish Maharaj, the Mahajans, as it says here. So I'll stop there, right on time, and we can have a discussion. Any questions?
Can you explain?
Thank you, Namarasa Prabhu. Go ahead, Adipusha Prabhu.
Yeah, can you explain what it means to be hovering on the mental platform? What is the mental platform?
The mental platform, I would say, is that anything that's if you're dictated by the mind. So the mind the mind is always looking to accept and reject things. And it's always looking to enjoy things or see where the most enjoyment can be, even up till, advancing in Krishna consciousness. The mind still has to be tried to be controlled. And of course, Arjuna says in the Bhagavad Gita, it's hard to be controlled. It's more difficult than controlling the wind. But those who are not on that mental platform and who are not dictated by the mind, those are the ones who are not hovering on that mental platform.
So the
And
one,
they're dictated by by their Krishna conscious, by their Paramatma, and are guided by in that way, in a more in a better way, I
so
would say.
the mental platform means like, I like it, I don't like it. I
Right.
like it, I don't like it. And then the other platform you're describing is, how can I serve Krishna? One other thing, you mentioned this first, Yasasti Bhakti Bhagavad Kinchana, Prabhupada quotes it many times. And there's partial and more complete versions of the translation.
Yes.
As far as I can remember, it says, a person who has full faith in Krishna and Guru, and is engaged in their service. Not just has full faith in Krishna, but Krishna and Guru, and is engaged in their service, then that person manifests all the good qualities of the demigod. So that's an interesting detail of the criteria to be qualified. And Prabhupada gives that analogy. All these material qualifications are like Jiro, right? Strength, intelligence, articulateness, austerity. They're like, but when you put the one of devotional service to Krishna in front of it, then they have value. A zero with a one makes 10. A zero with two zeros make 100 with the one in front of it. So, other than that, the material qualities don't really register anything. 100 zeros is still zero. Looks like Dr. Schick wants to say something there.
Yes, please.
Hi, Krishna. I'm not really a doctor. He just calls me that. But because I used to read to him all the time when we were out on Sankirtan. And so he said, you're Dr. Schick. If you keep on reading like this, you'll go back to Godhead. So I've kind of taken that to heart. And so I read all the time. That's my hobby. But I just wanted to say something about these books. There was that verse that you quoted about taking the dust from the lotus feet of a pure devotee. I read that one in the 1970s. I was just a kid. And when I read that statement by Prahlad Maharaj, I can't remember which book it was. It wasn't the Bhagavatam, but it was quoted in some other book. But I remember the feeling I had when I read that quote. There's like a rush through my whole body, from my head to my toe. And it startled me so much that I had to go run and tell my mother. I mean, it was pretty intense, so that's the power of these books. So you can actually have a physical reaction to reading some very important verse. And, that's all I wanted to share. But, actually when I checked out Prabhupada's book from a library, a couple of volumes of the Bhagavatam from a college library that the devotees had distributed all over the country. They had the college library party. And I remember carrying them home. And I felt like I had a presence in my arms. I wasn't crazy. I was just like feeling some kind of, extraordinary presence in my arms as I was carrying the books home. So they're not ordinary books.
Yes.
But,
thank you, Ru.
That's all. Thank you for the class.
Thank you.
Raja Bihari Prabhu, unmute yourself.
You want me to unmute myself?
Yes, and read what you wrote in the chat board.
Oh, well, I was just, I remember this so clearly. I was once with Ravindra Prabhu. I think we were actually in Tuaco. And we were talking about this verse, just he and I together. And he said he was once with Prabhupada. It wasn't recorded, he said Prabhupada translated Yasyasti Bhaktir as what is the use of their good qualities? And Ravindra Prabhu said that really helped him a lot because he thought, the other, when Prabhupada translates that they have no good qualities, like I run into people who aren't devotees who seem a lot nicer than some devotees,
Right.
So when Prabhupada made this subtle difference of what is the use of this, acknowledging their good qualities, but ultimately, if they're not directed, to spiritual life, whereas Namarasa towards bhakti, then they're not, they don't have permanent value. And he said that really helped him a lot in his spiritual life when when Prabhupada said that to him.
Right.
So,
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we often hear this kind of a problem that devotees sometimes have with other devotees, saying that, oh, these devotees are transcendental. They never keep their promises. They're flaky. They think they're above rules, and they don't have to follow through on what they say they would do. They're transcendental. So what's our response to that? What's our attitude to that kind of thinking? And what's our response? Namarasa Prabhu, Rajabihari, everybody, please. Share your thoughts.
If you're flaky, if you can't keep your word, that's a fact, you know. You can't use being a devotee as an excuse not to. It says, Prabhupada says we shouldn't flaunt the material responsibilities. We have to keep one foot on the ground and the eyes in the sky.
Good, thank you.
I have a question for Namarasa Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
So this verse, you know, the Yasasi Bhaktir says that, you know, by doing bhakti, we automatically get qualities of you know, it's inferred that it's automatic. Right. And yet there's so many places in the Gita and in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings where we're instructed to develop qualities, you know, develop humility, develop this. So, you know, what's going on there? You automatically get it? No, you should actually focus on getting those qualities. Yeah. Well, how do you explain that?
That's a tough question. I would say that it's kind of similar to that we have to endeavor, like even in Krishna consciousness, like it said, you know, that we have to endeavor, but at the same time we depend on Krishna. Not like, for example, like I don't just sit here and wait for, you know, money to come in to maintain my family. I also have to go out and make an effort in actually doing that to show Krishna, okay, I'm trying to do my part, and you obviously help me in different ways. So in the same way, we don't just sit and try to feel that, okay, they will come to us, but we have to. That's a tough question. We have to try to show our effort that we're trying to, at the same time as doing bhakti, but trying to act as a devotee and try to show as an example of those qualities. I don't know if that answers the question really, but
that's a great answer. I like that. Thank you.
Thank you.
The Muslim people say, trust in God, but tie your camel to the tree.
Right.
What is that, Vihari, what is that picture there with the road? Is that the...
That's the path of Govardhan Prikrama.
Oh, wonderful. The sandy
path. It's the path of bhakti. The way I like it is the path of bhakti.
Right. So there's a question in the chat from Angelica. I heard that devotional service is our sole means of developing good qualities and our true sustenance, protection, and need. How do we give this benediction of engaging others in devotional service to those who do not consider bhakti their spiritual path and are committed to their own? So, I mean, I would say that in bhakti, there's so many different gradations of people gaining the benediction of devotional service, from the smallest way of even appreciating who a devotee is. Like, for example, if you're their friend and you act in a nice way to them and they appreciate you, then they're gaining sukriti in actually appreciating you as a devotee. They may serve you in some kind of way, or you may engage them in some kind of service indirectly to some other devotees or of the deity or of Krishna, and so they can gain they can actually take advantage of a devotional service in that kind of indirect way. Not that we want to tell them to give up their path. If they're very resolute in their path, if it's a genuine path of service to God and chanting the holy names and compassion to others, and all the different qualities that we have in our Krishna consciousness, then if it's genuine, like Srila Prabhupada always used to say that you don't have to chant the name of Krishna, chant the name of God in your way. If it's bona fide, then you chant that. And so I would say that we don't want to necessarily just convert everyone to Krishna consciousness, but we want people to take up the universal principles, I would say, of Krishna consciousness.
How wonderful is Krishna that he's offering so many. How wonderful is Krishna that he's offering so much access, even though it may manifest in a slightly different way. It looks like Dr. Shik's on again there.
Right. Yes.
Well, I would say that it's not really a matter of converting people. It's just a matter of being transparent, a medium to Krishna. If you're totally surrendered and one appointed determination to surrender to Krishna, then Krishna will come through in your activities. And it's not we have to develop any extraneous individual qualities. It's the quality of Krishna. What kind of compassion do we have? Like the Bible says, all of our qualities, just like you were saying before, there are no good qualities in us. We have no good qualifications. I'm not a doctor. I'm not I don't know anything. Even though I've read all of Prabhupada's books, I don't know anything. All these are Prabhupada's books. These are Krishna's books, and whatever qualities that I can reflect from them, that was what people will be connected to and be impressed by, and they'll want to hang out with you more. And they'll see that actually these people have something to say, So it's not like we have to present anything in a certain way or be nice or, whatever. We just have to reflect Krishna. That's all. And it's very simple, actually. When you totally surrender to Krishna and you're a medium to his message, then people will be attracted because Krishna means attractive, all attractive. That's all, I think.
Thank you, Prabhu. Anyone else have any comments? Adding to the discussion about developing good qualities, I thought how Krishna doesn't want to interfere with our free will. So part of our effort is to come before him and ask him for help in transforming our anarthas. Very nice. Yes.
Good morning, Prabhu, Haribol.
Hare Krishna.
I just wanted to say I apologize. I meant to hit the love sign and I hit the laughter sign by mistake.
Okay. No problem at all. Hare Krishna. All right. So I think we can end there. Hope everyone has a great rest of your day. And yes, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Haribol.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Namarasa Prabhu, and thank you everyone for participating in this class.
Well, glories to Prabhupada.
Well, glories to Prabhupada. Haribol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.